Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. If you follow me on social media, then you know I recently took a little break from social media. I still can't believe that I made this decision. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a while now, but then my thoughts would always come back to, I can't possibly do that. So many people follow me, rely on my tips every day. It's going to destroy my business. It's where half of my clientele come from. Like, how could I possibly take a break from social media and still continue to make an impact and change the world and connect with those that love and respect me and look up to me, to not struggle the way that I struggled growing up, being overweight and insecure and feeling like restriction was the answer when actually it was part of the problem. So that's why I do what I do. And blogging, believe it or not, is the thing I've been doing forever. Tips with Tony is 10 years young. I was going to say old, but I know I'm going to be doing this for a really, really long time. So 10 years ago, I'll never forget it. I was sitting in my junior year of undergraduate in college, upstate New York. I went to SUNY Oneonta, and I was sitting in class, and I overheard a bunch of students kind of talking about like the latest and greatest fad diet and trend, and being so frustrated and like couldn't wait to become registered dietitians because they just didn't understand why people kept falling for this. And I was right there with them. I was completely agreed with them. I was like, I know it's so BS. And then I was thinking to myself, well, yeah, I mean, if that's all they see, then that's what they're going to do, right? What you see is what you do. What you hear is what you're going to be influenced by. And so I thought to myself, well, although I'm not an RD yet, I have been, learning for the past 3 years. Like I said, I was a junior in college. To become a registered dietitian, by the way, takes 5 years. We have an upcoming episode, hasn't been recorded yet, but I cannot wait for you guys to hear it, where I'm going to be chatting with some members of my team. So my assistant is currently enrolled in a dietetics program at Oneonta, the school, my alma mater, and she's going to be a registered dietitian. I have an intern, Alyssa, who is also going to be a registered dietitian, and she just completed her 4 years. And then I'll have another intern, Anastasia, who, although is not going to school to become a dietitian, she is in the health and wellness field. And when she comes on, she'll tell you more about that. All that to say, segued a bit, but to become a registered dietitian is a minimum 5-year schooling commitment. So those people that you follow on social media that claim to be quote unquote nutritionist or wellness coaches or health coaches or whatever, they might do a great job. 75% of the time, I'm not going to lie, they probably don't. And I know that sounds rude, but it's just honest. But even so, the knowledge is lacking compared to a registered dietitian. Oh my God, it was so crazy. I was at this, I'm going on lots of tangents right now, but I think it's important for my story, and for why it was so hard for me to take a break from social media, even though I know I needed to do it. And I didn't, okay, I'm totally rambling. So let me just get back on track. Anyways, I was at a party recently and social distanced, and someone kind of was like, what you're doing is so impressive. You're killing it. And it was really complimentary. And I know that everything in her bones meant it as a compliment. And she, had recently lost some weight on her own. And I believe she goes to a gym similar to like CrossFit. And I think she started doing nutrition coaching at some point. And she said something to me like, I would do what you're doing, but I, decided to go back to school to become a teacher. And I basically just don't have the time to do it. And I'm like, my job as an RD and what I do is not a hobby. Like, I went to school for this. It's kind of like saying to a doctor, like, hey, I was thinking about, doing what you're doing and like performing surgery on people, but I just don't have the time to do it. It's just like, they're not the same. Okay. So I just want to be really clear about that. It's totally not the same. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, it takes a lot of work, a lot of schooling, 5 years minimum commitment to go to school to become a registered dietitian. You do 4 years undergrad, then you have to apply to a dietetic internship, which you're only 50% guaranteed a spot or a match because it's highly competitive. And if you didn't get straight A's and you don't have some sort of experience. So for me, when I was in college, I was in 2 different clubs. I was a secretary for the Food and Nutrition Association. I was the lead of a club called Nutrition for Performance. I spent my free time volunteering at the hospital located in the town, working with the diet techs and like helping them out and stuff like that. In the summer, I was a nutrition educator where I went around to different like day camps and I basically educated kids from all these different daycare centers. Shout out to Michelle Shapiro. She's not listening to this, but that's how we know each other. She's an RD that I look up to, that we work well together. We're like the same age. And anyways, so wow, so many sidetracks. Anyways, so I had all this experience, and yeah, I wasn't an RD yet. I still had another year and a half left of college. I still hadn't even applied or gotten accepted to my internship. So who knows if I was really ever going to become an RD. But all I knew is that like I needed all this experience because it would help my chances of me getting accepted to the internship, which, surprisingly, I did, obviously, because I'm an RD today. So it definitely worked and it definitely was worth it. So I say that to say 2 points I'm trying to make. So 1, registered dietitians are the nutrition experts in the field. Okay. And 2, even those who've quote unquote only completed a couple years of undergraduate work as nutrition and in nutrition and the science of nutrition and getting a bachelor's in nutrition, even if they don't decide to continue and end up going to get their full, sitting for the exam and getting their master's in nutrition, which is also required right now, by the way, they still know a lot about nutrition, right? So when I was sitting there as a junior in my undergrad I was thinking to myself, I should start a blog. And at first I was like, no one's going to listen to me. I'm not an RD yet. I then realized, no, they are, because I know a lot. I know a lot more. And plus the fact that I didn't even talk about my whole personal experience that I was going through personally. Not that gives you the license to teach, but not only was I learning about this stuff in school, but I was applying it to my life. And in college, I used myself as like a testing pilot. So anything I learned about, I applied, and I remember I became a vegetarian, and more on this you'll learn in my book, which is also the reason why I took a break from social media. I hope you guys are with me. I am all over the place today. So anyways, in my book and in life, and I'm sure on podcasts I've talked about, there was a period in my life that I spent being a vegetarian. And the reason why, so I became a vegetarian for many reasons, and you'll learn more about it in my book. But one of them, which I actually don't talk about in the book because it's not really relevant, but it's relevant here today, is that I remember thinking, well, if someone is going to come to me, they're a vegetarian, they want to learn how to be a vegetarian, like I want to know what that actually feels like and looks like, and I want to be able to truly help them. And the only way I'm really going to know that is for me to be a vegetarian. So I did that. And then I was vegan. And then I tried gluten-free. And a lot of this stuff was personal stuff, which you're going to learn more about in my book. But there was also what I was telling people on the outside, even though it wasn't 100% the truth. What I was telling people on the outside, it was part true, was that I wanted to know what it felt like and how to experience it so I could really truly help someone, because I wanted to be in their shoes. I really wanted to understand that. So anyways, all that to say, I don't know how I got here, but I'm going to go back to me starting my blog. So Tips with Tony is 10 years young. 10 years. I started on YouTube. Then I created a Facebook page. Then I got WordPress. I started writing articles on WordPress. Then, believe it or not, guys, I grew up, but this was in the 2000s. I graduated college in 2012. I had started my master's in 2013, and my internship I graduated from that in 2013 as well. the Instagram page didn't start until I think like 20. I had one for personal reasons, but then it switched to Tips with Tony. So it went from Tony Ann Marinucci, which you might know me on Facebook, and it switched to Tips with Tony, probably like 2012, 2013. And then it kind of just grew from there. And then the podcast came out. This podcast is about almost 3 years young as well. We're going on almost 200 episodes, which is super exciting. Or the podcast might be 2 years, but I started working with the Gymwits. So that was an extension of me. Then I got my own website. And so anyways, the point is I've been blogging, and I've been kind of like in your face talking about healthy alternatives to healthy living and ways to find what works best for you. And I love it. And honestly, it became part of my everyday thing. So as you can imagine, when I decided to take a break from social, it kind of hurt a little bit. And I knew that I was saying not a goodbye because I'm going to come back, but it was like hard for me to just not resist the urge to, go on social and share. Like I cooked these awesome like protein pancakes the other day. I went apple picking with my sister the other day. There was just so many experiences that I really wanted to talk about, like from being apple picking and hearing the conversations around me about feeling guilty about eating the apple cider donut. Like just eat the donut and I'll explain to you why. Like, these were the things that kept coming up, and I wanted to be on my story and talking about it. And I felt real guilty when I wasn't able to do that. But then I remembered the reason why I was choosing to take this break from social was because I just felt inundated with just so many things that I had to do. And I was overwhelmed, and posting on social and writing captions, and figuring out, what I wanted to talk about or write about or whatever was getting it was really time consuming. And I have this other goal, as you guys know, which is to finish my very first book and to put out my first book in this world. And I'm going to record another episode about how challenging it is, and the things that if you're ever considering about writing a book, please consider X, Y, and Z. And I will talk about that later. But it's taking me a lot longer than I had envisioned it to. I have not been prioritizing writing it in a way that I know will help it get out into the world sooner. So I made that difficult decision to take a break from social, to use that time to, instead of writing a caption in the morning when I first wake up, to opening up my laptop and hammering down chapter by chapter, adding things, removing things, tweaking things, getting my thoughts out there. So it's been amazing because the book is really starting to come together. There's still so much more left that I need to do. It's kind of crazy how much there is to do, but it's still closer than it would be if I was not writing it. And if I was not taking this break from social. So that's kind of what I wanted to update you guys with. But I wanted to kind of share with you the lesson that I've been learning, which I didn't realize I was going to get, which was taking this break from social. Like I had envisioned it giving me more time. I anticipated a little bit of anxiety because I think about when I lose my phone for a hot second, how I freak out because like everything I do is on my phone. So I'm used to like eating my food, taking a photo of it and showing it on my story. I'm used to like doing a workout or like talking to you guys while I'm on my walks on my story. So like not doing those things at first caused a lot of anxiety, but the less that I gave in to feeling like I needed to post, I had to post, I should do this, I shouldn't do that. Honestly, the less I gave into that, the less anxious I actually felt. And I truly started to become 100% present in whatever it is that I was doing. And therefore, I was enjoying it more. And I will tell you guys right now, as I'm recording this, my stress level, I never really feel, this is what's also super interesting, which I'm going to explore more. And there's got to be something to it. But so my body does hold a lot of stress. My mind, believe it or not, is not stressed out. I do a really good job at setting boundaries, prioritizing what needs to get done in my life through like movement and eating well and just listening to what my body wants and needs and honoring them. And, really I have set up my life where I work from home. And yeah, I run my own business and it can get quite stressful, but I'm really grateful. And I really don't have a high stress life, especially compared to what I used to have. So the stress level is super low already. But at the same time, my body always feels like it needs a massage, and I'm always like, I always catch myself like gritting my teeth and like shrugging my shoulders. And so like there is tension and there is stress. I think my body just holds it in a different way. All that to say, since taking this break from social media, I feel like a weight has been lifted off of me. And I didn't realize I was stressed. So maybe I was stressed before. I don't know. But I am like significantly less stressed. Like, so just, oh my God. Like, it's like, it's so freeing. Honestly, I feel like the way that I can describe it is like when clients talk to me and they tell me like, they're like, but like Tony, like I ate a bagel and I didn't freak out. Like, or I went to this restaurant and like, I knew I could have had the cheeseburger, but I chose a salad because I knew that's what I truly wanted. Or like, I no longer feel like food controls me. Like I'm in charge of my food choices. And like, I can't believe I even used to live that way. Like I feel so free. That is how I feel taking this break from social media. So I love you guys. And I cannot wait to be back in your living rooms and, while you're scrolling, while you're on your couch and like being in your life and showing you my life as I live it. But I will say that what I've learned is that I no longer need to post immediately. I rather really be engulfed in what it is that I'm doing. So when I tell you that the joy I have now I've gotten more creative in my kitchen. When I cook, I smell the spices and the herbs, and I'm having really just a more enjoyable time. I don't feel like I have to post something. I don't feel like I need to create something. I can just cook, and it's awesome. I don't need to put on a show. It's amazing. Going forward, I'm going to still take photos and videos, but I'm just not going to post it right then and there. I'm going to probably show you guys a little bit later. And maybe other people do that. I just never did. But like recently I've been noticing like when I'm listening to lyrics, like I'm listening to music, like I'm genuinely hearing the lyrics. Like I'm hearing every word rather than it's just being noise in the background and me hearing my thoughts. I'm actually listening to the music. When I go for walks, I am super, super focused on the actual nature of like the colors changing on the trees. I see autumn, I see fall, I take a deep breath and I can smell the air. It's literally amazing. And when I'm eating, this is something I've been working on anyways, but I'm definitely doing it more so where I sit and I eat and I'm not in a rush. I don't have to post this. I don't have to show this. I can literally just create this space, put my phone away. I don't need my phone near me, and I can just eat and I can just enjoy it. I can taste every flavor and I can take my time. I don't need to rush. It's just awesome. And honestly, I think the biggest, most important lesson that I definitely needed to be reminded of is like, when I'm with those that I love and that who love me, like being with them, it's really an amazing thing when they hug you and you feel the love. And you hug them and you feel the love. And you're not thinking about what you need to do or what you should do. And when you're at these experiences, like when I was pumpkin picking with Bruce's daughter, and when I was apple picking with my sister, and when we were at the mall and just like doing things like normal life things, I didn't feel like I needed to like do something just to like take a photo to just show it on my story. Like I could just be. I was just truly 100% just being. And that is what mindfulness is, guys. That's what mindful eating is. Mindful eating is eating and just being focused on the food, right? It's not focusing on what you should do or what you shouldn't do. It's not focused on the past or the future. You're just being. You're just being. That is mindfulness. That is mindfulness in all aspects. To truly, and then for those of you who are like, I don't want to meditate, I'm a little, hesitant to do meditation. I'm not really into it. I try, it doesn't work for me. I have a lot of podcast episodes about that and how I think it's still worth giving it a try. But if maybe you're not at that, maybe you have tried it and maybe really it isn't a good fit for you, then knowing that mindfulness and meditation is mindfulness, meaning if everything that you do, if you can be solely focused and you can stop multitasking, right? And we can just be with whatever it is that we're doing, that is being mindful. That's a form of meditation. Okay. So the biggest lesson that I've learned that I didn't know I was signing up for, but the one that you will benefit hearing from, is that if you spend less time showing off your life and more time actually living it, you'll be very happy with the results. So spend less time showing off your life and more time actually living it. And that feeling of just the amount of stress will be significantly lowered. The amount of gratitude will be significantly higher. And I encourage you, like I said, I don't know how long I'm taking this break from social media. I am not sure when I'm going to be back on, but I do need to give a shout out to my assistant, Danielle, who is holding the Facebook group down. She's taken over for me for the month of October. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you guys to join that group. I will resume giving some lessons and stuff, but she's holding it down right now and she's doing a great job. So I am grateful. The reason why I'm able to be less on social is because I also have my assistant running the Facebook group, and I have my interns helping with the Tips with Tony podcast Instagram page. So there is some traction. There is some reminders of when these episodes go live and whatnot. So I am very, very grateful for them. And I felt like I needed to give them a little bit of credit right now. When I talk about how less stressed I've been and how much my gratitude has increased, that's definitely part of it. So there's probably a lot of things that you can be grateful for, and you're just so focused on the stress that you're losing sight of that. So maybe you need a break from social. So you don't need to take a whole month off, which I think I'm going to be doing, but I'm not sure. I might come back on earlier. I might stay off a little later. Who knows? But all that to say that even I had someone message me, who emailed me, and she said that my social media hiatus had inspired her to just be on social 30 minutes less per day. And that will make a big difference, especially now when I'm recording this. It's around the time of elections, and everyone and their mothers has an opinion about politics, and it's super stressful. And so although you need to be part of the conversation, and it is important, I think it's important also for you to protect your energy and your time and choose when it is that you are going to go in and use these platforms. Okay. This episode obviously is way longer than I had intended. Thank you for being patient with me as I went on many rants. But I hope you found it helpful. If you did, definitely take a screenshot of this episode, share it on your story, tag me at tips_with_Tony, even though I'm not, going on social regularly to post things. I do. If you tag me, I'm going to repost it. So that is that. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. If you want to leave a rating or a comment, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.